Justice for all is prosperity for all. What is prosperity? Prosperity is not simply wealth, financial wealth, although it includes some degree of financial wealth, what I would call financial freedom. To have enough money to where you don't have to be bothering about money anymore. Prosperity, in its fuller, more complete sense, means happiness, joy, the fullness of life. To prosper is what life's all about. Life grows, develops, flourishes, and bears fruit. That's life. To have a complete, fulfilling life is to prosper. But what does it mean to prosper? How do we do that? And that's what this website is about. This is completely an educational-based website. Toward the Center describes a movement that we all must undergo consciously and intentionally. By that I mean it doesn't happen by accident. You have to consciously and intentionally move toward the center of life, the center of love, of truth, of goodness, of beauty, the center of peace and harmony. This movement toward the center is the purpose of our website, the purpose of this educational foundation. Now, the first thing we have to come up with is how. How do we go about this movement? We all know what we want. We all do want a complete, fulfilling life. That's just plain common sense. Who's going to deny that? We want to be whole, complete, dynamic, creative, fruitful, happy, joyful human beings. We want to live a full life. We all know that. The question is how. Now, academic theories can be somewhat helpful. There's the school of psychology, the school of philosophy, the school of theology, and all the various world's religions. They all serve a function. They're all, to one degree or another, helpful. But what I have deliberately focused on here is putting together the resources from a variety of perspectives on the how. The how that's not confined to any particular philosophy or science or ideology or religion or belief system of any kind. It's basically the underlying common denominator of all of these various writers is that truth is universal. And what we want to know is what works. We're not trying to find more things to believe or disbelieve or argue pro or contra. What we want to know is what works. And that's what I put together. What are the key practices that form the habit of success? What are the key practices that bring one into the very fullness of life? What are the key practices for enduring happiness and joy? How do we go about moving toward the center of life? You'll notice that the key term of the preceding was the word practices. And that's the first point. At every level of life, it's all about practices. The young child, the infant, crawls and stands up and falls down and stands up and falls down and stands up and falls down, and it keeps standing up and falling down until it learns how to walk. Dr. Higuro Kano, founder of the Kodokan Judo, was once asked, what's the secret of success here in your judo? And he said, practice, practice, practice. Years ago, when I was first licensed to practice law, I was at a meeting in a very major law firm. They were interviewing me to consider giving me a position, and they asked me if I had any questions. One of the gentlemen sitting at the table was a bit famous for his trial skills. So I asked the question, well, what does it take to become an accomplished, good, solid, successful trial lawyer? And his answer was, and I quote, practice, practice, practice. That was his answer, but he wasn't smiling. But there's the point. And I think common sense tells us that that's radically true. Whether you want to learn how to play the piano, whether you want to learn how to be an Olympic athlete, whether you want to be a doctor, whether you want to be a lawyer, it doesn't matter. To be successful at anything whatsoever in life requires practice. So what I've done is put together here a goodly number of writers for us to study together, as we're all in this together. This is our world and our life. No man is an island. I put these writings together and edited them and formatted them for the purposes of study so we can more readily access and acquire the ideas and the understandings that are presented. Well, that's an opening. That opens the door. To walk through the door requires practice. The way I like to make the point is this. There's something called knowledge. By itself, it's not power. Knowledge is a map. If you don't use the map, you don't get anywhere. Even the scientist will agree that all the stuff called knowledge, the most scientific knowledge, is nothing but a map, a paradigm, a model. And every map is subject to detours. Every scientific paradigm is subject to a paradigm shift, a revolution in scientific thinking. It happens regularly. So knowledge, in and of itself, isn't the key. It's only an index, a guide, a bit of a map. Understanding is the result of practice. You take the map and you walk the turf. And in doing so, you bump into some detours, you fall down, you make a wrong turn, you stand up and go again, you get back on course, and you develop in that process something called understanding. And eventually, you get to your destination. Then you don't need the map anymore. You're there. So that's what we're about. Knowledge is the first and most shallow step. You can get PhD degrees in anything you want. That's not going to make you a happy whole person. We all know that. There are plenty of people with plenty of degrees that are not happy campers. So to come to a really fulfilling, satisfying life takes something different than mere knowledge. And that something more is called understanding. It's practice. It's a lifetime commitment. In a word, success, happiness, fulfillment, all these things is a lifestyle. And it's that lifestyle that constitutes success and happiness and joy. This right way of living, this fulfilling lifestyle, is a collection of practices. So there we have it. Now let's take a look at the books, the materials that are presented for study.